Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier, and for those who don't know, that means I am a YouTube personality. Over the years, I have had the privilege to work with some awesome YouTubers and play some awesome games. I do both of these things. That's actually pretty good. Welcome to what used to be Talk to Transformer, but is now, in fact, InferKit, which I think stands for Infernal Kit, because they summon the powers of hell to be able to create these random words. Values greater than 1 will increase the chance of... I'm not going to worry about that.
Setsi Moyo
Had previously contested the allegations of misappropriation of the funds by claiming that, in fact, they were trying to build a school where boys and girls will learn together. Stop pushing the funny joke! Stop! If only I hadn't lived a life full of so many regrets. My grandma cooking chicken, whole chicken, boneless, non-skinless thingy. I know you are! The bans have to do with the animal's endangered status and strict protection. Alright. Fascinating. Elden Ring. I wonder what it's going to do with this. I'm gonna bring my team and we're gonna go to the tournament. Alright, let's go. See, I wasn't all that good. The guy at the store.
This is the story of a website called InferKit and the bucket. Hello everybody, this is Dr. F, and welcome back to another special video that is again kind of Stanley Parable related, and more so the Stanley Parable 2. Now, if you remember, back in the original Stanley, well, it wasn't in the Stanley Parable, you can find it in the Stanley Parable playlist, but I did a special video called the InferKit Parable, and basically what I did is I used a website called InferKit, which automatically generates a sentence using AI, I think, and I started the sentence with, "This is the story of a man named Stanley." And, well, I'm gonna do that again. Except, this time, I'm adding a bucket. Yep, I just realized, me saying this out loud, how stupid this is. This is basically gonna be like the same video as the InferKit Parable, but this time it's the InferKit Parable 2! Yeah! 2! It's the sequel to the InferKit I'll just get to the website already. Alright, so yeah, here we are, again. We are back on the demo version of InferKit. So yeah, this is the InferKit Parable 2, and this time we have 10,000 free letters to use, because last time we had 8,000, so yeah, that's double the amount last time. No. Never mind. And if you remember, the rules of the InferKit Parable is put the length to generate at... wait, can I just... Oh yeah. Put the length to generate to 427. Don't click start at beginning. Don't click pause at end. And then, boom! You got it. There you go. Just put the length to generate at 427 and type in... This is the story of a man named Stanley and the bucket. Stanley and the bucket, and then there you go. There's your running sentence to start with. Just gonna make sure I typed it correctly. Alright, yeah. So, I don't know. Here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley and the bucket. Stanley and the bucket may be the most delightful Pixar short to date, in which a desperate artist finds solace in his celestial footwear. Number 6, Hey Neighbors by Ralph Eaglestone. This hilarious little illustrated book takes its title from the high-pitched and excited haze that children yell to one another in their backyard. Number 5, Fox and Socks by Dr. Seuss. At the beginning of each chapter, the fox stops and reflects on his past. What? Wait, hold on. I thought Huh? Okay, I wasn't expecting that, but alright. I'm pretty sure Oh, wait. Did none of the characters get used? Huh. That's weird. Alright, well, we'll just generate text. This is weird. Alright, I guess we'll just generate again. See what happens. This is the story of a man named Stanley and the Bucket. Stanley and the Bucket are the settings of a story, and they are called 12 Stones. This story is a short parable! Hey, they got the word parable in, at least. In the form of a fable, here's the story in the form of a poem. You may read it aloud to remember it. Remember the rules of the game. Start with the second to last line of a poem. You can make sure the story is not plagiarized if you use one of these search bars. Stanley the Gay Bishop. What? What am I reading? I'm sorry. I thought this story was about Stanley and a bucket. That's what I'm trying to look for. Oh, now it's starting to use the characters. Okay. Generate the bucket. This is the story of a man named Stanley and the Bucket. Stanley and the Bucket is a different perspective in the progress of autism. Stanley was once finally, a story about Stanley. Jesus Christ. There were 2 stories in, and now the 3rd story is about Stanley. Is a different perspective in the progress of autism. Stanley was once an ordinary child like you and me. Then he was sucked into a dark hole in the ground. The infinite hole? Because I remember that from the expo hall of the Stanley Parable 2 expo hall. I think I remember something like something similar. The only way out was to take what is essentially a bucket. Hey, the bucket is finally... Wow, okay, the 3rd story has Stanley and the Bucket. Okay, the only way out was to take what is essentially a bucket and drag it around. But before Stanley had a chance to drag his bucket, he was brought to Mr. Vonk's house. Who the fart is Vonk? Mr. Vonk is a likable, timid man who likes to look in the mirror. Alright, this is the story of a man named Stanley and the Bucket. Stanley and the Bucket is about a man named Stanley, who lives alone and in a remote town. I thought I was going to say in a remote bucket. In a remote town in England. Stanley is a quiet, isolated man, and so he lives mostly alone. Well, I mean, he has a wife, doesn't he? I guess the wife was fake in the game. One day, a mailman comes to town. He is interested in Stanley because he has a... Oh boy. And he wants to meet... Wait, who does he want to meet? Stanley or the Bucket? The mailman, also an isolated man, wants to go to Stanley's house to see if he would like to have a few friends to come to his house too. Alright. This is the story of a man named Stanley and the Bucket. Stanley and the Bucket is my own poem and has been published by the Wichita Eagle since 2015. Short Stanley, that was my college nickname. I love that name. It gets my kids all riled up. My grandchildren think it's funny. It wasn't my choice to have the nickname. It was my dad's. When I was in the 1st grade, my mom and dad took me to the doctor's office. My 1st grade teacher said, "Stanley looks like a Stanley." Okay. Somehow, God, this definitely does feel like a sequel to InferKit Parable. Although I don't remember if the... Okay. This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket is a story about Stanley. Duh! Stanley's parents are a married couple. Stanley lives with his parents and his 7 siblings in a small suburban house. Jesus. Stanley lives in this house with his parents for most of his childhood and continues to live there after high school. Stanley goes to college, and in college he meets this girl, Mariella. Or not Mariella, no. Wait. No, Mariella was the girl who saw him dead on the floor. No. Although we don't know who the wife's name is, I just realized. Because Mariella's the only other girl character, and even then I think she's fake because of her fake action figure hair in the first game with college, and in college she meets this girl. They fall in love and spend time together. They eventually get married and have children. Alright, this is the story. This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley and the Bucket share more than a nickname. The story begins after Stanley lost a job for failing to pass a background check. Stanley takes a job cleaning the back of a long haul truck and is assigned to clean the pipes. Making about $7 an hour, his work is regularly interrupted when a mechanic named Larry, who always seemed to be drinking beer, pours a bucket of water on Stanley's head whenever he opened the partition. Alright, at least we got the bucket in there. This is the story of a man named Stanley and the Bucket. Stanley and the Bucket was filmed in 1977 on the Southern California beaches in Malibu. Stanley's bucket was an actual garbage bucket. No, I thought it was the reassurance bucket. He purchased from a local grocery store. They sell buckets at a grocery store. Oh my god. He took it home and emptied it out on the beach, which was a hotspot for bird nests and garbage. So littering. During the filming, Stanley was trying to shoot birds from the air and was quite successful. Okay. This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket lived in a haunted room, in a haunted house. Oh, how beautiful is that, said Annie to her to her friend, as she observed the plants in Stanley's garden. This man has the touch, her friend remarked. Alright, Stanley came home from work to find his beautiful wife. Oh, okay, we got the wife in there. In a far-off land, wearing an exotic dress and had a beautiful shoulder-length mane. Stanley was about to begin his evening shower when... Oh, wait, okay, there's no period there. I'm not going to read the ones that don't have a period at the end. I'm only going to stop at the period. Alright, this is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket is a simple story about a man who makes a wish that he could turn back time and make sure he was a better person before he got so drunk. Unfortunately, it doesn't go exactly as planned, and the man ends up in HE double hockey sticks, where he meets the devil, and after a little negotiating, he finds himself freed from his HE double. And with one chance at redemption, he... Oh, wow, there's like no period. This is a long... Okay, so this is the only... Alright. Huh. I just had an idea for something in the future. Alright. Gonna have to think about this more. This is the story of a man named... don't worry about it. I'm just... Nothing you need to worry about for now. This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket began in mid-August of 2007 when a thief broke into a St. Cloud, Minnesota Toyota dealership and stole a... What? A $50,000 bucket. What? Did the bucket have money in it? Or was the bucket itself that expensive? Because if it's the second part, then holy moly, that is an expensive bucket. I wonder how much my reassurance bucket costs. A man, probably like $2, because sequel. Alright. A man who'd broken into the dealership was wearing gloves, and he put a 15... Oh my god, the bucket is $50,000. Jesus Christ. He put a $50,000 bucket in his car, which had a spare set of keys in it. The thief drove the bucket to a bank parking lot, switched out the bucket for a different... Wait! Switched out the bucket for a different car and left the bucket in the parking lot. What? Oh. What is that? I need water. What is this story? What are these stories? I remember in the prequel to the InferKit Parable to the InferKit Parable, I remember the stories being like Stanley was this or Stanley was that. Not God. I guess the bucket does change everything. Oh man. Alright, well. This is the story of a man named Stanley and the bucket. Stanley and the bucket are not the same thing. Yeah, clearly not. Or are they? No, they're not. But after my long hiatus from updating this blog, I have nothing new to add to my previous posts. So here's a recap of the most significant events of the year. My sister Cassie lived in San Francisco for 3 years while working as an artist in a large print shop. No period. Alright. This is the story of a man named Stanley and the bucket. Stanley and the bucket were given to each other by a crazy person. I wonder who that crazy narrator person is. Oh my god. But no one was supposed to know about it. You see, they are going to the same restaurant to pick up something to eat. The bucket? I don't know. The man and the woman each have... Wait, is the bucket a woman? I don't fucking know. Oh my god. The man and the woman each have something they're looking for. The woman needs the bucket. The man needs the bucket. And Stanley needs the bucket. Oh, so there's 3 people. What is happening? And Stanley needs the bucket. The restaurant is the only place in town where they are going to be able to find what they are looking for. And what is that exactly? This is the story of... Okay, we're under halfway. We're about halfway through. Oh, man. This is the story of a man named Stanley and the bucket. Stanley and the bucket was always such a familiar sight to me as a child. What? That is... It was always such a familiar sight that I never noticed it. I knew the bucket was around. I knew it had something in it. I knew I had to tell the piano teacher that Stanley and the bucket weren't gay now. What? What? Are they really sentient? Is the bucket sentient? Is it actually sentient in this story? What? Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright, I wasn't expecting this. Now. Go. Don't go there. Don't follow the instructions. The cargo lift. Yes, go to the cargo. But to me, Stanley and the bucket were friends. But that's not quite right now, is it? Oh my god. Jesus Christ. This is the story of a man named Stanley and the bucket. Stanley and the bucket goes back to the summer of 1980. The summer of 80? The bucket was a humble brass tool that served as a copper and lead detector. I thought it said detector. Director. The bucket was good at detecting wherever copper and lead were sitting in the ground, and lead was not in the bucket, so the possibilities were endless. Because the end is never the end, right? On January 2nd, 1951, Stanley did not find the usual amount of copper and lead. He took the detector out And while digging, he started to gag and... Oh, okay, there's no period. Alright. Oh man, this is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket first appeared in a magazine article in 1942. Stanley was a 43-year-old engineer in his garage. Jesus. His life was filled with a series of failures of decisions that he had made to save time. One of them had been to sew a small opening at the bottom of the bucket to allow water to escape during a flood. Alright, here's a description of Stanley's original bucket. It was a green mill spec MOP bucket with a brass band around it. I have no idea what that is. Alright, this is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket are added again. This time putting the #1 post on the list of best comedy DVD collections. What? Stanley has reviewed several comedy DVDs on his site and has the top one as the best comedy DVD collection of the year. He gives the disc 8.5 stars and said it's funny, beautifully presented, and all the best bits. Alright, no period. Alright, so I like how sometimes the stories are nothing about Stanley in the Bucket, and then sometimes they're about Stanley in the Bucket, and it's just Stanley sometimes. Okay. Oh man. This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket is about how his grandson is getting married, but Stanley can't go. What? He explains to his grandson about the bucket. The story, it's narrated in his... The story is narrated in his voice, alright? The bucket is a little bit... Is this bucket sentient? Oh my, is he like just doing... Is he like rubbing the tears like in that one ending? Ellie said. The day of the wedding, Stanley's grandson's fiance's family gets into an argument, and in the middle of it, Stanley runs outside and picks up the bucket and is unable to set it down. Well, yeah, because like once you pick up the bucket, you can't let it go. You can't drop it. Well, in some endings, but you can't let go. Not even in the bucket destroyer, you can't. The Stanley can't let go of the bucket unless it's his, or no, unless it's not his. Then yeah, he'll let it go. This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket. Ugh. Oh man, I think I keep going. Contains the most incredible survival story of the bushwhacker. Well, I'm not even gonna ask what that even is. He was a washed-up fisherman who got lost in the bush and needed a drink to survive, so he drank the bush from the bucket. He stashed a bucket on a high tree and used it as his drink bottle. Alright? Eventually he passed out and froze to death. Alright? The bucket was able to insulate him to survive the cold for 2 months. Was he just living in a bucket? Just... what? Oh my god. This is like just as weird as the Stanley Parable 2. This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket is perhaps one of the oddest parodies of one of the strangest aspects of Charles Bukowski's writing, his peculiar marriage with his work bucket. Oh my god. Is he married to a bucket in this one? Stanley is a goofy fella who can't keep up with the commercial taste of the offending youngs. What does that even mean? In each of his stories, he will use his bucket, a weird receptacle with the blackest, meatiest, and most frightening insides that could only be found in a hole like Hollywood. Alright? This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket... Alright, we're almost done. We're almost there. Is a scene involving an old bucket on his head, a telephone booth, a policeman, and a crazy woman. Stanley has been drinking. He passes out in the road, and the bucket blows his brains out. Jesus Christ. The police come, they check the bucket, they freak out and take it away. From then on, all the police are afraid. Oh my god. Stan states, if it had really been alright, I'd have giving them $50. Oh, what the fart? Oh my god, what even is this? What even are these stories? Alright. This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket was a livery horse which lived at Kings Park at Waterloo in 1813. A great and small steer met Stanley on a drive, and now they trot together on fine days, discussing the merits of men and of wives. It was interesting to hear about the machinery in the drains, and much more importantly, I learned more about the building of the park itself. The layout of the park. Oh, okay, never mind. Jesus. Alright, well, we are almost done. That's good. That's good. I don't know how I forgot to mute this. Hold on. Just a second. Okay. Sorry, I just had to do something. This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket had a lot of adventures together. Oh, that part is true. It started when Stanley bought it for $1 at a yard sale. Wow, cheapest bucket ever. Like, last time one was $50,000. Stanley put it by his doorstep every night. Whenever he came home, he would put his coins into the slot. He also had a lot of cool adventures when he would use it. When he finished his coins, he would put it back in his bucket. The bucket had a lot of space, and he had to walk very slow to fill the bucket. Alright, that sounds like... Wow, that sounds like... That's the one... That's like the only Stanley and the Bucket story that actually made sense with the bucket. I'm not even joking, that actually made sense. That actually made, like, a good story. This is the story of a man named Stanley and the Bucket. Stanley and the Bucket were a couple. What? Stanley had been married twice before to a woman named Sarah. They were going to divorce, and Stanley would get custody of the couple's $2. They had been living in a rundown apartment in the projects for a while because it was cheaper because of their budget. They couldn't afford to be the nicer one. One day Stanley took the bucket from his apartment with him to the grocery store. Wait, so are Stanley and his bucket married in this story? Jesus Christ. I say, in the last one, that's the one story that made sense. This is the one story that doesn't make most sense. Alright, this is the last story that has very few characters. This is the story of a man named Stanley in the Bucket. Stanley in the Bucket... Ah, alright, I'm gonna have to, like, dumb it down to 265. Oh, alright, what? Hold on. No, what? No, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. Alright, let me get my calculator here. 265 minus 80, so 185. So I'm going to do 190, see if that works, just in case. Okay, 190. Generate text. I'm gonna go down each time until we make it. No. 89. No. 88. No. Maybe it is 185. 87. No. 86. 85. What? Oh, maybe it's 184. I could be wrong. What? Wait, but I counted. There's like more than... Oh my god. Alright. What? I counted. There was so many. What? No. No. I can generate. Wait, can I like just... Really? Hold on. Length to generate. 1. Huh? Not even the... Okay, pause at end? But there's 265 characters. Are these 265? Are you serious? Really? How do I get to 0? Wait, how did I get to 0 last time? What? Doesn't even make any sense. Hold on. Okay. How many characters is that? Generate. No. What? No. I got it. Ah, fuck. Hold on. How did I do this last time? What? It let me last time. Why can I... Okay, start at beginning. What does that do? Add of free characters? What do you mean add of free characters? I have 265 characters left. What are you talking about? Huh? Alright, I guess I just can't... What happens if I just do that? Really? Okay, well that's weird. Alright, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. That's fine by me. No, it's not fine by me. What happens if I just do exactly 265? Huh. That is weird. Can't go below that. Alright, well, you know what? That's fine. That's fine by me. So remember, if you want to... If you want to do the InferKit Parable, the InferKit Parable 2, just type out this sentence, put the length to generate at 427, don't click start at beginning, don't click pause at end, and boom, there you go. Alright, so that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed that. That somehow seemed a lot more chaotic than, or not chaotic, but a lot more weird than the original InferKit Parable. But yeah, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to watch the original InferKit Parable, I put an annotation here just now. So yeah, anyways, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye! And the end is never the end, blah blah blah, you get it. Bucket!